Today we're going to be talking with Pete Tormey, who is the managing partner of Antero, Tormey, Petrin. He's been working in patents and trademarks for 30 years, and we're happy to have him here. So Pete, thanks for being here today.
Pleasure to be here.
Tell me a little bit about what it is that you do.
Well, I'm a patent attorney. I kind of came into it the hard way through the entrepreneurship game. I was a design engineer. Most patent attorneys are engineers or some hard science degree. That's a requirement to take the patent bar. So years ago I was a design engineer, and then in the 90s I gave that up and went into sales and marketing. And then I discovered this new thing called Palm Pilots, which were really cool.
Yeah.
So I started a software company writing software for Palm Pilots, and of course they went away. And when that happens, so does your company that goes with it. So when that business wound down, I started consulting for all my friends that were involved in startups. So I found out you could take the patent bar, and I did, and became what's called a patent agent. Unfortunately, as a patent agent, no one hires patent agents. They want patent attorneys. And my girlfriend at the time said, "Why don't you go to law school? It was kind of funny. She said, "You're not doing anything else in the evening."
Right.
What I didn't realize is law school consumes your whole life.
Sure.
And so for 3.5 or 4 years, I pretty much did everything about law. Along the way, still consulting and doing patents for people. After law school, when we started our own law firm, one of the things we remembered was we were all entrepreneurs first. And so all the partners in our firm have business experience. They've been there, they've started businesses, some successful, some less successful, but at least we have real hardcore business experience that we talk to our clients. We know what they're going through,
right.
And that helps a bit.
When you hire on new attorneys, one of the things that you look for is business experience.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a lot of attorneys, a lot of great patent attorneys out there, but the attorney-client relationship can be a very intimate relationship depending on how the business goes.
Sure.
And you really want an attorney you can call, have a question, and they understand without having to spend a lot of time on what exactly you're going through. And we do a lot of work, not just with patents and trademarks and copyrights, but startups in general.
I remember you tell the story about when somebody walks in, you're like the first line of defense.
Generally, the venture capitalist and the angel investors want you to apply for a patent first. And I realize that what they're really saying is, can you talk your way through past one professional before we talk to you?
One very educated professional.
Yeah, can you convince an attorney that you actually have something?
Yeah.
And if you can, then we'll look at you. But I think the subconsciously they're saying, let's weed out the bad inventions by sending them to a patent attorney first.
Right.
What they're really doing is saying, we don't want to keep your secret, so file for a patent first and then talk to us.
Right.
That's what they say. And that keeps them from getting sued for stealing your invention and things like that. But really, when we have a startup client, we're very often the first people they talk to about how to commercialize that invention.
Right.
And you can tell they have a good idea, they love it, they think it's the best thing since sliced bread, and they really don't know the next steps, how they're going to get from this great idea to profitability. That's part of what we add to the equation when we talk to inventors.
Right. So when an inventor comes into your office, what do you say if they have the idea but they don't have the business model?
If we don't see a path to profitability, we generally won't take that client, because what they're going to do is spend a lot of money on attorneys and end up with nothing at the end of the day.
Right.
So the first question is, how are you going to make money with it, and see if they have some clue what they're going to do. Generally, the further you can get without someone else's money, the better off you're going to be. Of course, it's your own money you lose if it doesn't work. Right. But so what we do is we like to see that there's a financial plan in place, or at least some semblance on their part that this will be a profitable venture.
Do you feel like your business experience has helped with getting people to that place where they become profitable?
Absolutely. I think more than a few clients that walk out of our office quite surprised at some of the suggestions we have, the resources we have, things for them to try, things for them to look up, or we'll often introduce them to people if that helps.
Right.
So I think they're pleased by that.
So if somebody is looking for a co-founder, what advice would you give them?
Actually, the best advice I kind of stole from somebody else, and it was, if you have a potential, somebody you think you can work with, do a small project with them first and see if you really can work with them. People tend to, if it's not significant, drop the ball on it. Some people, if they can't get it done, they get frustrated and they do nothing. Some people ask for help, but some people go figure it out. A business relationship's like a marriage. In fact, when businesses dissolve and you read the law books, it says review your divorce rules, right? Because that's exactly what this kind of law that's going to apply.
Yeah.
So what you're looking for is somebody that you can marry in a business sense. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're good friends.
Sure.
It just means you can live with them. They get the job done and you get the job done. The second good piece of advice I picked up, and I think it was a Harvard Business School article that says the ideal number of founders is like 3 or 4.
Really? Why is that?
Because if you're a sole founder, you kind of never get the job done. You're too busy.
Right.
If you have one partner, you excuse each other. But once you get to 3 or 4 people, there tends to be an accountability circle. We're going to meet once a week, and everyone's going to go over what they did. So you have this group that you're going to answer to.
What about in terms of IP? So when somebody comes in and they have an invention, they say, I want to get this patent. What's the first question that you ask?
Well, there's a couple of laws about patenting. It has to be new and non-obvious, which means you can't have been selling it for more than a year. If it looks obvious to me, generally we're going to have a tough argument to make. And if it looks like something I've seen before, we're going to have a tough argument to make. So I want to know enough about the invention to know that it's actually something new. If somebody says, oh, I'm going to have, Facebook for family relatives or something like that. Well, if it's already like Facebook, it's not new enough.
Right.
If you have a database and all you're doing is changing the data inside it, that's not new enough. And then the second thing, like I mentioned a little while ago, is how you're going to make a profit, and then how are you going to make it, and how you're going to use it.
Is that for the provisional?
A provisional patent is kind of like a placeholder. It's like sending somebody to the patent office and having them stand in line and wait for a year and then turn the documents in.
Right.
You actually have your filing date when you file the provisional, but it's not a complete patent application until you finish it, so you have 1 year to finish it. Some larger companies tend to not use provisionals, but for startups, especially if they're bootstrapping, paying their own way, we recommend a provisional because it lets you test the market before you spend all the money on a patent. So we'll say, why don't we file a provisional? It'll give you some protection. You can talk to people about your idea. First of all, you're patent pending.
Right.
You can talk about your idea without having to worry about it stealing.
Why is patent pending important?
First of all, you're telling people you've already applied for a patent on it. So that, in theory, should discourage anyone from ripping off your invention. But secondly, by having filed the patent application, you can go back and write the claims and get an enforceable patent in some time.
Well, you see that on packaging all the time. Patent pending, patent
Yes.
pending, patent pending. It doesn't mean that they actually have a patent.
No, it just means they've applied for a patent.
They've
But
applied for a provisional, or they provide for an actual?
either one, a utility or a provisional. What it says is we're in the process of getting a patent.
Right.
And there's a very narrow law that makes that enforceable, but it's very rare circumstances. Let's say you're about to come up with an invention and you say, I'm going to knock this off. And it says patent pending. You have to ask yourself, what if he gets a patent on that while I'm in the business of knocking them off, right? I'm going to have a hard time making money and I'm likely to get sued. So it should discourage a little bit of competitors, except for the most sleaziest competitors you'll find, right?
Sure.
So you want to get patent pending, but also if you're looking for financing, they want to see you've applied for a patent on it too.
Right.
And if you listen to a VC or an angel investor, they'll say, have you applied for a patent? And you'll say, oh yes. And they'll say provisional, and you say yes, because they know what you are. But I think that when you first have a product idea and you're bootstrapping and you're trying to save money, don't spend it all on a patent. There's other things you have to do. You have to go prove there's a market. You have to go find investors or whatever it is you're going to do. So you don't want to put all your money into one basket when you can use those resources to go find out how good your market is and how much you should be spending to get your product out the door.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
You kidding? It's my pleasure.
And thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.